Welcome to the Elliott State Forest. Prior to 1927, it was known as the Millicoma Tract. And prior to the 1870s, the area was inhabited by the Molucc people. Let's just say it didn't end well for them. The encounters in this forest are unusually secluded. If you look over here on this ridgeline, there's a section that trails over here, and it seems to be like an area, almost a territory. But most of the strange encounters happen down near the bottom where all the creek's at. Of course, I've experienced some unusual things up above in other areas as well, but down there seems to be the hot zone for some reason. So far, I've explored a vast area of this forest only in the daytime. At nighttime, it's best to stay places where there's a safety location nearby, I guess. If you do come out here, and I'm suggesting you don't, because these kind of things I feel like aren't meant to be messed with. If you do come out here, the only time you're going to experience something unusual is if you walk out into the dark. So, like I said, I don't recommend that, but it appears that things only happen at night. In fact, there was only one time, and I've spent a good 8 months up here exploring and investigating and looking around. There's only been one time that something happened there in the daytime. And that was closer to the end of the day, so maybe there's like a time frame during the night. Like it starts just before it gets dark and then ends when it gets light. I don't know. But me and my dog were sitting on a rock, just kind of looking out over the valley, and she started freaking out. Now, in my mind, I thought maybe a mountain lion or something was sneaking up on us the way she was acting, because she acted like terrified, like she just saw something that spooked the hell out of her. So I grabbed my knife, turned around, and there was nothing. It was weird. And so I walked over towards the area she was eyeballing, and there was like a rock, a big rock on the ground. I'd say the size of like maybe a basketball, maybe a little bit bigger. And she circled it and was like growling at it. In fact, I had to like drag her over to it to show her like nothing was wrong. It was really weird. I've never seen her act like that. She does let me know when something wrong is going on. So for her to do that at a rock, I'm not entirely sure what she might have saw, but yeah, it was a really weird encounter. Anyways, moving on to the history of this area. Now, keep in mind this forest is approximately 93,000 acres. Can easily get lost if you're not familiar with being out in the woods. Coos traditions describe the forest as inhabited by various spirits. These included reanimated ghosts that escaped into the woods to do evil, doppelgangers, giant people, spirits and ghosts, and even creatures called the noisy ones. They were little people who had long hair. It was even believed that wild people of the woods were feared for potentially stealing children, leading elders to keep kids indoors at night. The earliest systematic records of Coos oral traditions are from 1903 and even further back amongst the Molucc tribe. If you spend enough time out here by yourself, just listening at night, clearly something is going on. I personally never go outside at night unless somebody comes up here with me. There's even some areas where the forest is so dense that even in the middle of the day it looks like it's dark in there. There's so much tree cover that a spirit or a creature of the night could easily hide in one of these areas. Again, if you do go exploring this area, I don't recommend doing it by yourself. Spirits and paranormal and creatures set aside. For all we know, the Maluk people, some of them may have stayed behind in the forest instead of being ran off. And even if that wasn't the case, there's still a lot of mountain lions and bears in this area. So whatever you do, be safe. I don't think whatever's out here is dangerous, but I also don't take unnecessary risks. So keep that in mind. In the meantime, if you like what we got going on so far, click like, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and hopefully we get to take you live on one of these adventures in the near future.
One evening as the sun went down and the jungle fires were burning, down a track came a hobo hiking. He said, "Boys, I'm not turning. I'm headed for the land that's far away, beyond the crystal fountains. So come with me, we'll go and see the Big Rock Candy Mountain."